All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk. And today we are going to be talking with my bestie, Sara Burton, about her upcoming amazing fucking novel. Sara, tell me the name of the novel.
It's making shadows with your footprint, their footprints. Look at that. Look at me being all nervous.
That's why I got you to do it, because I was going to fuck it up, because I always end up doing it. I always end up going making shadows with the... No, making footprint. No, shit.
Long title. It's a long title, and I know that.
It's a fantastic title, especially once you read the book. And I have read this book now, 8 times, I think. I think we're up to about 8 times since it's kind of like initial conception. This is actually what introduced me to Sara as a writer, and I fell in love with her writing style because with this book, I fell in love with the characters. I cannot explain how amazing this fucking book is, and I will actually be doing a separate video for the new review show coming where I go into exactly how amazing I think it is. But for now, we are going to sit here and talk with Sara and get all of the important fucking details. Sara, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I told you, I'm a little like, because of the lunar eclipse. And so yeah, I got a lot of energy, which is good because I've not had a lot. So, which is why we postponed this. So now we're here.
Well, nobody knows we postponed it. I didn't tell anybody we postponed it. Jeez, just giving away the secrets.
Hey, you know me. I'm very, very honest, and you're just going to get what you're going to get. There's no secrets here.
All right. Sara, in 2 sentences, why don't you tell us what the book is about?
I mean, okay, so it's a book about kind of, finding that like human connection through music and like navigating kind of modern relationships and how that doesn't look the same for everybody.
That was fucking beautiful. Amazing. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna kind of dive right into this one in here. So your book dives deep into themes like trauma, mental health, toxic relationships, alongside other, more romantic story elements here. What kind of inspires you to tackle such a heavy topic with this book?
I mean, a lot of it, so, my writing is a certain type of a way, and I've kind of realized even more so in the last few months that, I mean, obviously I write for me, and it's definitely a way of healing, and so I kind of tackled things that I've been, it's actually a lot of trauma that I thought that I processed in the past, and I hadn't processed it quite as well as I thought I had, and it just started to come out in the story. And I think it's one of those things that at the root of romance is just really human connection, and all of our trauma and our past relationships is all going to affect our current relationships and the way that we relate to others. So I think it's really important that it's in there because it really does shape the way that we connect to other people and how our relationships are going to pan out.
No, definitely. And I think not only is it extremely well thought through, even the traumatic moments, which we have gone over a couple times with a few of them where I'm like, dude, this is fucking heavy. and you're like, yeah, well, that's how shit goes. You weaved it in a fantastic way where it is not only relatable, but understandable to those that have not experienced it. And I think that's what I really enjoyed the most is you're not sugarcoating things, but you're also making it accessible and understandable. And that right there is what makes it fucking amazing. So now we are going to talk about the love of my life, the one I will die for probably eternity, Nora. Just one of the greatest multifaceted characters, extremely bold and confident and deeply vulnerable. When you were in the process of kind of creating a character like this with such contrasting qualities, how much of her is inspired by real life?
A lot. I've been really nervous, like, to even share this book. I mean, I know I've talked to you about it in the past. Like, I didn't know if I'd ever publish this book. I didn't I didn't know if I'd have the confidence to put out there. I'm like I'm getting shaky thinking about it, because it is not just about her, but the story in general. There's a lot in there that's very, very like close to me, and just, yeah, I'm kind of putting it all out there. But she is, you know, there's a lot of things that I've gone through. My personality has changed so much, and a lot of that does have to do with me being bipolar. And there's certain things that, you know, just the way that we relate to people, the way we communicate, different things that I'm like, it really does shape you as a person. And I feel like that's something where I'm like, I can be so like, so many people are like, there's no way that you're shy. There's no way that you don't have confidence. There's no way that you're this, that, or the other. And I'm like, oh, I'm really good at masking. And I think that's something that I really tried to show within this character, is like, you're gonna see her one way, and then you're gonna see her another way. And it's like, well, how did you, from what you've said and from my arc reader feedback, it's like I've managed to make it understandable, relatable, like people identify with her. Oh. And I was gonna say, I got from an arc reader, so this is way back in the beginning before it was even like refined, I got one of the best compliments I think I've ever had on a character. And she basically was just like, I want to be her, I want to be around her, I wish I was brave enough to write a character like her. I'm gonna get emotional, because it was like, because I'm like, I really put a lot into her. So it just, I'm glad that she's coming off the way I hoped that she would.
Definitely, and as I said right off the top there, like, Nora is without a doubt one of my absolute favorite characters. Gracie, can I help you? Like, literally, you've not been here all day.
Just once love. I've got that high vibration. She hears my voice, so she's coming.
Anyways, okay, you know, just lay it. There you go. Good girl. Nora is such a strong character, like, right off the bat. If you know a person like this, you know Nora. And, you know, if you are friends with a person like this, you know that what everyone else sees is not what's actually happening on the inside. And I mean, it's a beautiful reflection of what a lot of people struggle with and go through. Especially in the public side of things, influencers, actors, and all of that. It's very much the same thing, where it's you look at somebody and you're like, oh my god, you were so confident, you were just outgoing, and you were just there. It's like, yeah, but you don't see just the depression and the hatred and the self-hatred and just everything that happens underneath it all, because I'm not going to show that to you. And I know that's something both of us understand fairly well. So yeah, Nora, amazing. So the relationships in this story are very complex, especially right off the bat, and often tread a very fine line between love and danger. What messages or reflections do you want readers to kind of take away with these dynamics?
So we've all been there, right? Like, we've all had those relationships that are all consuming. There's thrill, there's excitement, there's like lust, and then you get to a point of like you're bordering the danger, like the obsession with that feeling that you're chasing almost. And you know, sometimes it works out, a lot of times it doesn't. And I think that's kind of, you know, you've read the book, it's kind of that, like, hey, everybody, you know, maybe just keep in mind, like, you're gonna chase that feeling, and then you might wake up one day and realize you're like way too far in, and then where do you go from there? And obviously I tackle kind of like, well, where can you go from there, or how bad can it actually get? So I just think it's something that we all should kind of be aware of, because we like chase that feeling, and I know that we all do it, especially me in my younger years. I played with fire a lot, and I know now it has a lot to do with, you know, my mental health. And it's just one of those things that I'm like, okay, but then I grew up and I learned from what I had done in the past, and I learned how I connect with people now, and how I can we can find that balance. You can find that excitement, but also within a healthy relationship. And you know, you just have to kind of work at it. And I think that's something I also kind of was trying to capture in this story is, well, we're not all like, we're so different, and like conventional for one person is not for somebody else, but like you can figure out what works for you. And like honestly, I think the biggest thing is, this is kind of a big fuck you to the haters out there that judge like how somebody's up, like how someone's relationship looks. And you know, I just don't think that we should be judging like what works for one person. Like doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter. Like everybody is entitled to like the relationship that they're looking for, and as long as it's healthy. And I think that's what I was trying to stress with this too, is like figure out, like find that balance, what works for you, and like roll with it. Because we're all like, we all want to find, I mean really everybody wants to like fall in love and just like figure out what's gonna make them all warm and cozy inside.
For sure. And one of the things that works extremely well in this book is seeing the moments where you're chasing love for the sake of chasing the love, and when you're kind of over that part, and what you can, you know, the next step past that. Because for a lot of people, especially you know, us hopeless romantics, there, that rush of the chase and that initial first bit is just, it's very addictive. And I think that plays a huge factor into Nora's subtext. There is just, you know, as much as she's doing what she's doing, there's also that chasing that specific thing. And yeah, it's just beautifully written. All right, so speaking of beautifully written and emotional things, the book definitely does not shy away from very explicit content and raw emotions. Did you find it challenging to kind of balance out these intense scenes with the more emotional and tender and raw moments?
Honestly, no, I didn't. I think I don't, I mean, it's there. Like, I guess for me is when I'm writing, I'm just channeling. And a lot of it, I mean, so much of what goes into my writing is either like my own personal experience or things that I know, like really close friends of mine, like, you know, I've basically lived it with them. And that's part of life. Like, you can literally, you know, I mean, and sometimes it's those things, those tender moments turn right into those explicit moments. And it happens, and there's definitely a balance to it. And I don't know, I didn't struggle. And I've been complimented that even though it is very explicit, it's not gratuitous. Like, I don't just put sex to have sex. Everything that's in there like has a purpose, plays a role. Like, there's a reason it's in there. I mean, and it fits these characters. You've read my first book. It's the slowest motherfucking burn you're ever gonna find. And it fits my characters, and I will never stray away from that. Like, I'm not going to, you know, like they weren't gonna go do what Nora and James do. Like, it's not gonna happen, because, you know, I know, and that's the thing too. I'm like, I know these characters inside and out. I know how they're gonna react in a situation, and I know, like, you know, this is them. This is what they would do here. And so I think it was easy. I don't know. They're so real to me. I think that's part of it too. I mean, it's so real. It's like, okay, well, how would I handle this situation? Not saying that I'm Nora, because I'm not.
Well, you know, again, like we've said several times, and I've said with several people, there's a little bit of you goes into every character, and I think Nora portrays a very strong and bold side of you that I've seen as I was reading there. Gracie, if you stop this recording, I am going to be so mad. Thank you. It's very much a reflection of you in a way that Cherry Trail was also a reflection of you. It's showing the different sides of Sara Burton, and I think you channel yourself very nicely into all of it. So, mental health is portrayed with a lot of honesty and depth in this book. What was kind of your approach to writing about these struggles in a way that felt authentic yet respectful?
I mean, I think my biggest advantage there is I've lived this. There's a internal dialogue in there that's extremely So I think for me, it wasn't as hard as it might be for someone who is kind of, whether it's you're the person, like you're the partner to or the best friend of somebody who's gone through it. I've handled all of this. I've dealt with this firsthand. So it was easier, I think, to find the balance of making it respectful, but also honest, because I know how, if I was reading a story, how I would want it to be handled. Right. Like actually writing it was very, very difficult. A lot of tears, a lot of like not frustrations, but yeah, frustrations, because you look back and think like, how do you get there? How is it that this like version of you, or this little, girl inside of you was so broken, and that's what you're channeling here into this to like help others who, I know others felt this way or feel this way, and to help them be seen. I'm putting this in here, and it's hard, but I just don't want to shy away from, and I think that's kind of the big thing too, and a lot of people are like, whoa, you did not, it's all in there. And I'm like, it is all in there, because if you're gonna, for me, if I'm going to, dig deep inside of myself to share this with others, to help others feel seen, I'm going to share it how it is. Like, I really want people to understand. And I've had feedback of someone who's like, I really liked how you explained that, because I've never had somebody say it in that way. And now I have a much better understanding of how it feels when you're going through something like that. So.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no, your specific wordage on several parts shows kind of the depth of how much you kind of went into it and made sure you were saying it correctly. I think, no, you handled it extremely well, even the parts that I wish weren't in there, because we know. So without giving away spoilers, because goddamn do I want to give away all the spoilers for this book, the ending is a very emotional gut punch. What kind of led you to this conclusion for Nora's journey, and how do you think the readers are going to react?
Well, we all know that Nora is very unconventional. Like, she's a free spirit. She does whatever the fuck she wants. And so when I sat there and thought of like, where is this going to go? It actually, I toyed with how it was going to end. It was something that weighed on me. Most books I start, I know what the ending is when I start them. I know, I don't necessarily know how we're going to get from point A to point B, but I know what's going to happen. And with this one, I really toyed with, is it happily ever after? Is it happily for now? Is it none of the above? Because as people read it, I've had readers, being like, messaging me like, and and I was like, well, okay, so it has to fit. Like, whatever I do, however I end this, it has to fit. And it was one of those things that as I wrote the story out of order, as I do, it kind of started to fall together of how this should end, what makes sense, where it should go. And I think part of it was giving Nora a sense of like, just giving her what she needed. And I think, and again, what everybody needs is different. And that doesn't always mean happily ever after. And that doesn't always look like, the prince swooping in and saving the princess. So I had to really I kind of had to say like, well, if people don't like it, they don't like it. But this is what I feel like. Again, like I said, I give my characters what I think they need. And so that's what I did. I've had feedback, so we'll keep that to myself of what, it's positive. It's just, obviously like.
Well, I can say this, Cherry Trail, the ending made sense, and throughout the entire book, you were just like, come the fuck on already. Just get there. I need you to get there now. And it made sense, and it was very beautiful. With Footprints, it's a fucking journey, because at no point You know what you want to see, but you also know what could happen. It is very much an entire time you can tell where you want it to go, but where it can go, and you ride that line so well all the way through to the fucking end. I mean, yeah, it was just like, well, shit. It is one of the first books since the Dark Tower series that had me in literal tears when I got to the end. And I even sent you the picture of me crying with a fucking message, yeah. What the fuck did you do? Or something like that. And because, yeah, no, it was just, it is the perfect end. And that's, you know, doesn't matter if it's good, if it's bad, it is exactly how it needed to end. And I love it. All right, so the book itself blurs the lines between romance and kind of psychological drama. How do you define the story within the romance genre, and what sets it apart from other literary romances?
Come on, Chris, you know I've like not been able to define this book. It's probably like my biggest struggle because I don't really know where it fits. It's one of those things, and I really, really like Sally Rooney, and her books do touch on, you know, human connection and relationships, and there's intimate scenes, and she's not technically considered romance, which is why I've kind of been just saying this is more like literary fiction. But the problem is, but there is more sex than there would be like outside of probably a romance novel, and because of certain things I added towards the end, we are kind of towing the line of, and I'm going to say charcoal gray romance, because it's not dark romance, but it's just, and again, but that all ties into psychological drama. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. And this is why we went with the cover that we did, because like for me, as I'm sitting here talking about it, I'm like, and no, it doesn't go to that extreme, but like Basic Instinct, the movie, is something that I so much feel like I really kind of tried to channel that, like, except for like, it's not a murder. We're not killing people.
I don't know, dude. I'm telling you. Anyways. Well, like, regardless how you define it, there is a lot of romance. There is a lot of emotional fiction going on. And at the same time, there's also a little bit of mysticism, which we haven't even covered at all here. And it was not on the list I sent you, but I did kind of want to add that in here because it is a factor throughout the story, which is something readers should actually know kind of going in. What made you want to kind of add this subtle tertiary plot theme?
Magical realism.
Yeah.
That's kind of what, that's what, you know, I have my beloved Beth, who has helped me try to figure out like where to put that, like whatever. And she's like, there's definitely like magical realism in there. And it's just it's like a,
Sousson.
And I did have one reader be like, I was kind of thrown off at first because I was like, where did this come from? And then as the book kind of progressed, she's like, okay, it all like kind of came through and made sense to me. But the hard part is like, for me, it's not necessarily magical realism as much as it is my belief system and like how I connect with people and the way that I've used the universe to work. So these certain things that I depict in there, like the way that I connect to people, the way that I feel people, that's all based on how I actually, like, relationships I have in real life. And I thought it was kind of something to put in there because for me, as somebody who's, you know, demisexual, I'm like, okay, those are things that are really, really like, it makes a huge difference in how I connect to people, who I bring into my circle, who I'm going to allow in. And I think that was something that I'm like, well, this is really important to show because it really plays a part in, it plays from the get based on that type of a vibe, that like picking up on somebody's frequency is why this entire story even kicks off. So it's just something that I had to put in there because, again, it's how I relate to people. It's how I've like healed and, you know, grown as a person. So I just thought it's something that like really fit. And not all of, I was gonna say, I will say not all of my stories have it. Definitely not, but I am finding that like I am including it in others, which is kind of fun to like experiment with. So
Yeah, it's definitely like right off the bat when you first kind of read about it, it's very much kind of just something people just talk, just say. It's kind of just a conversational thing that's just part of the modern era and how we talk. And then as you kind of go, you realize, oh, it's not just saying these things; it's actually a thing that happens all the way through. And it's a neat way that you incorporated it without breaking the illusion of the world itself, and I enjoyed it because again, like first time through, I very much was a what the fuck, where did this come from? And then it was like, oh wait, oh no, so they weren't just saying that, they actually like meant that shit. Oh, and then it worked very nicely. But it's definitely something that you should know going in, because it will kind of catch you off guard otherwise. Anyways, your writing is very unapologetic, bold, and very unfiltered. How did you kind of develop this style and your voice, and what advice would you give to other aspiring authors who want to break away from the traditional storytelling norms?
well, we all know that I'm unfiltered and unhinged, kind of chaotic. So, yeah, my voice went in there. And I think I really found my voice more as I've been writing over the past, like, now we're going on a year and a half, almost 2 years of me being back in the writer's seat, because I took a very long break there. But I got to a point where I'm just like, well, this is this is just me. And it's just easier for me as, the narrator, I guess, to kind of stay true to like, I'm like, yeah, well, this is how I talk. This is how I handle things. There's no sugarcoating it, because really, and I am that, like, the glitter is there and all the kindness and all of that. But I'm like, but at the end of the day, when we're going through like shit, like when I have friends who have come to me and been like, I'm stressed about my boyfriend for this. I'm like, okay, so all the rainbows and the glitter and the, ice cream cones aside, like, let me lay it on you. And this is the facts. And this is how we're going to like heal from this. And this is how we're going to get through life. And that's just how I kind of tackle my writing. Like, I feel like you just need to put it all out there. There's no reason to hold back. There's no reason to censor yourself. I mean, what's the point, I guess, for me. And you know what, I guess, so going into the next part of this question for aspiring writers, like, you do you. I know that my books, I know I'm going to have a hard time, like, kind of finding my audience and figuring out, like, who exactly, like, how to market them, because they're not the traditional thing, that you're going to, like, pick up when you think of romance, which is why I've kind of not even been, I'm kind of sticking more to literary fiction. But it's hard. Like, I write them for me. I really do. I write my books because this is what I want to write. This is like what I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying the way that the stories are developing. And I've told everybody in my writers group that, like, I talk to, just fucking write what you want to write what you want to read, tell your fucking story. And, like, you'll find your audience. You're going to like, you will find the people who want to read it. I've connected with so many people on threads where I'm like, dude, you sold that book to me. Like Ben, oh my God. I remember Ben talking about his, like, queer urban fantasy, and the way that he pitched it, I'm like, fuck yeah, like, bring it on. And then I stalked him, and now we're besties. So, but that's what you do. Like, literally, like, stay true to you, find your voice. And I'm like, we all know what our voice is. Like, we do know what it is. So just don't censor it. Just, like, let it out. Like, let your freak flag fly.
That's the clip right there. We're just gonna go with the freak flag fly. I'll cut it down to that one line. I think that'd be funny as fuck. I won't, but goddamn, that would be funny. All right, so then I guess the penultimate question here before we jump into some really fun shit that I didn't warn you about at all. We're just going to do what's next for you. What else do you have coming out? What else do you have coming up? And what's up?
So, actually, which we'll just do it here, because I fucking suck at social media illiterate, like, forever, always, you're gonna get shit. Like, I mean, you're not, it's you're either gonna get like a bunch of random shit of me again, like probably, you know, tying cherry stems or deep throating popsicle, or you're gonna get me talking about like really serious shit, or you're gonna get nothing for like 3 weeks, except for, I don't know, let me talk about the moon. But I was planning on talking about this. I've been thinking, you know, some of my closer writing community knows how I want to tackle stuff going forward. I wrote 4 books last year, and I've started like 4 more. And I had this initial thought of like, I'm gonna get like a goal. I was like, I'm gonna get 5 books out in a year. I already have, you know, 4 of them done. This is gonna be great. Fine. Could I do it 100%? Like I could write them, I could edit them, I could get them out. Am I going to lose my goddamn mind? 100% I am. You know this, Chris. We already know this, because I'm not going to market. I'm not going to do all of the things that I need to do, because like I don't really like social media. I like my friends, but I just don't like being on social media. I don't like being a slave to the algorithm. So I came up with this new idea. And I am going to just focus on my writing, and I'm going to get everything finished that I'm working on. I have, so my like little world of Cherry Trail expanded. And as you know, like Nora's, so it's like, I'm going to have 3 series in one world, and they're all like kind of connected loosely. And some occasions they might overlap, so you might get some of your favorite characters like in another series, just a little. Like anybody who's read Cherry Trail that likes Lyle, like get ready, because he's gonna have a lot of like, he has a lot coming for him. But anyway,
stop talking about Lyle, we're here about Nora.
I know, but come on, man. But anyway, so there's a lot of overlap, you know, kind of just to tie it all together. But I've decided I'm going to, like, so the other 2 books that are finished, I'm going to edit those and get those done. The stuff that I'm working on, I'm going to finish. Like, I'm kind of trying to get to a point where I might have like 5 books finished, completely edited, ready to go. And then I'm going to just schedule releases. So that way I will not be writing at that time. I won't be doing my own editing at that time. I will be focusing on like releases. And I think this is the best thing to do for me. I also am kind of like not that long game person. Like I might advertise, like, or promote, not advertise, whatever. I might promote for like a week or 2. I'm not going to be like all dramatic on my, not dramatic in a bad way, but just like the people who are like cover reveal, title reveal, that's not me. I can't, like my brain, I'm going to forget that we had this conversation in 25 minutes. Like it's not how I work. So I decided, like, whether it's unconventional, not what anybody else does, this is what I'm doing. We're going to see how it works. We can follow up in like a year's time. But that's the plan. And the project I'm currently working on is actually probably, I am so fucking excited about it. What started off as just like a single MFM dark romance that was going to represent both, like, obviously LGBTQ plus, and I decided to incorporate certain, you know, like ADHD. I have a cousin who's autistic in a very, very beautiful way. It's very different than what, you know, a lot of people think of when they think of somebody with autism. And I am kind of using her as a, you know, inspiration for one of my characters. And as this started to develop, I have another story that's in that series. And it's kind of, I've realized I'm really highlighting, you know, the neurodivergent community. I'm really trying to put in there how we connect, how we relate, just the different things that we go through that. And as you know, all of my books are set mostly in the past. So this book is kind of covering things that, like, nobody fucking told me I had ADHD. I mean, you're the first person who was like, you have ADHD. I hope you know that. And I'm like, nah, man, no. And then my psychiatrist is like, you 100% have ADHD. Like, it's just, so.
That's a victory. I don't fucking care.
Well, but it's just one of those things. And I'm like, and I want to also like highlight that, yeah, as kids, we were not told these things. I'm like, well, how did I get here? And she's like, well, you figured out a way. She's like, because you also, you know, border on having OCD. You have extreme high functioning anxiety. You're bipolar. She's like, you figured out a way to take the strengths of all of those things to work for you, that you masked well enough that nobody was like, oh, she's struggling under all of that. And like, her brain is doing 27 things in 5 minutes. And But yeah, so I just want to highlight all of that. And I'm really, really excited for where it's going, because it's not just about, because I mean, there's still mental health themes in there 100%. There's also, I really highlight a specific chronic illness. As some people know, I have lupus, and I dive into neuropsychiatric lupus, and one of the characters has it, and it's something that I've really dug deep into kind of putting in there. So again, tackling things that don't necessarily have a specific place that they're going to fit, but we're going to figure it out, and hopefully people enjoy it.
I am so stoked for everything coming out, because again, you got me. You got me with Nora, and I'm here for the long haul, so I'm very excited for what comes next. Now, we are going to get into the questions that you have no idea what I'm about to ask, and it is going to be so fun. And I know you're probably stressing even more and probably sweating quite a lot
I've been
right now.
sweating the entire, sweating the entire time. But.
Okay. and this is going for main characters and secondary characters, because you got a good 5, 6. Which of your characters would survive longest in a horror movie, and what would their secret weapon be?
Okay, let's see. Well, unfortunately, fucking Colt is gonna be the one who lasts the longest.
You know what? Yeah, you're probably fucking right about that shit.
He's gonna last the longest, and honestly, like, he'd probably need mostly just his mind, and like, yeah, we're not gonna get into too much because it'll give it away, but he's gonna he would outlast everybody.
Yeah, all right. If your characters in your book were to start a band, what genre would they play, and who would take on the lead vocals?
So, I feel like they'd have to play rock music, like 100%. They'd be some type of a rock band, and I kind of feel like Caitlin would come out as like the little bouncy blonde lead singer, and I think Nora would just have to be that like witchy little one with the tambourine to the side, or like give her something random to do.
I can see Nora doing bass.
Yeah, she could, but I definitely think Caitlin would be our lead singer.
I can see that. Yeah,
for sure.
You know what? That makes sense. Who is playing who? And let's just go with the main 4 in the movie.
So we already know I fucking struggle with this like so much.
I know, but okay, I'll caveat this. You can give the list off the top of your head, and then email me a list later, or message me a list later, and I can actually put that into the video here. I kind of did that the other day.
I have though. So I have. Okay, so James though is like he's 2 people. I cannot separate it for the life of me. But like young Brad Pitt, and then God, what the fuck? From Sons of Anarchy, Charlie. Oh, Charlie. So he's like a combination, because he's, I don't know, like, I mean, so he's a hockey player, and I feel like young Brad Pitt is just too like clean and whatever, but he has that like kind of like he has that too, and then just like more the ruggedness of like, you know, our badass bicycle. And okay, we're not gonna like, but yeah, he's kind of a combination of those 2 characters, so I'd have to like figure it out. And then Nora, there's a couple, but like I feel like I've settled kind of on is it Anna de Armas? I don't know how you pronounce her last name, but like she's, I think, a very good one that like as close as I could get, I guess. And then there is, I don't know what his name is. He is a super sexy blonde. He's in like random movies too. Like there are a bunch of like random superhero like they're not really superheroes, and I'll send it to you, Chris, because I cannot think of what his name is. Something Pettifer, I think it might be Alex Pettifer. I think that's his name. I'll look it up. And then Caitlin, I don't know. I'll have to think on that. Because she's very just like, I don't know who I've not thought about that. And the problem is she's based off of one of my best friends. So all I see is my fucking best friend. Like that's it. Like I
Ask your
can't
best
really,
friend who she wants to be played.
I'll I'll ask her.
There you go.
She's got a very fun social media presence all of her own. Um she shotguns beers, which
I mean, do what you do.
in the book.
All right. So, what song from your writing playlist would you say captures the essence of Nora's personality the best?
From that whole playlist.
Just
Which I
one
should
song.
put up because I
No rush.
wait.
No rush. Take
Wait,
it.
okay, so from the writing playlist or from
The one in the book.
book playlist?
The one in the book.
Are you telling me Rocket Queen? Because that like
You tell me.
I feel like the ones that represent her more are the ones that are like my actual writing playlist, not necessarily the ones in the book. I'm trying to think.
All right. Well, then, whatever
Chris,
song in
but Chris,
anyone.
But Chris, like Rocket Queen definitely is gonna like encompass. Orca is another one that's like totally like something she's going to feel. I'm trying to, and again, you're giving me a hard time because like the writing playlist itself, there's Monster, there's like there's so many things that are.
And I want you to pick one.
Depends.
Just one.
But okay, but like playlist.
Yeah, take your time, dude. I'm
You
not in a rush.
do realize though, like I've been writing other things, so like I've got a bunch of other songs in my head.
This is not a test, Sarah. It's okay.
No, it is a test. Do you realize what you're doing to me right now? Do you realize what you're doing to me?
Yeah.
Oh. Like, well, I mean, Modern Girl is like, that's like her to me. Gasoline.
Gasoline. That's a solid one. You kind of come out.
Hi, Halsey. So we'll put that out there.
You kind of cut out there, so it's like, what encapsulates her as a whore? I'm just like, dude, don't call Nora a whore. What the hell?
Okay, you know what though? I, in the most loving way possible, often am like, fuck, I was such a slut back in my days, and I don't think that that's like, if you call yourself that, like, just a little bit of a hoe bag. I don't know. I'm not calling anybody else that, but I'll call myself that.
Dude, I got two kids from two different mothers. I was a hoe, so. All right, I'm probably gonna cut most of that right out. Like most of that shit's gone.
Did we hear gasoline?
yeah, I got gasoline. That's actually probably right about where I was gonna cut it to about now. All right, so Nora and James are out in a bar. Some people start some shit. Which one of the two is throwing the first punch?
Can I deflect and say that Nora would just start handing out condoms to people?
No.
To be honest, I think this would be one of those, like, they might take a punch at, like, Nora definitely is a badass. Like, if she had to protect herself, like, she totally would. However, like, she's definitely also one of those, like, she's gonna rip you to shreds with words. So I do think at the end of the day, James would probably be the one to take the first punch.
I mean, dude's a hockey player.
Nora might make you cry. She'd probably make strangers cry.
Make you cry that James would come in. Oh,
yeah.
God. Hockey players. All right, and then I think we're just gonna round off with one final question before we wrap this up here. If your characters, we'll go with the main four there, had to survive a desert island, who would become the leader? Who would build the shelter? And who would make friends with their volleyball?
I mean, honestly, like, Nora's just kind of that natural leader. I'm pretty sure everybody would follow whatever she says. I mean, James and Trey are both hockey players, so I'm pretty sure they're both going to be like banding together to build some kind of a shelter. And realistically, yeah, Caitlin would definitely be the one who would be like talking to plants and a volleyball. And
Follow-up question: how many nights would it take for the foursome to happen?
I don't know if it would anymore, Chris.
This is a hypothetical. Go at the beginning of the book, right off the bat. How long would it take?
I still don't know if there would be a foursome.
You don't think so?
No,
Trapped on a desert island for who knows how long.
Well, maybe they would save up for it. I don't know. Like, do you want to, like, seriously, you want to eat all your, like, fucking popsicles in one go? Like, no.
You know what? Valid. Right. So, to wrap up this episode of Let's Talk with Sara Burton here, I just want to end off by saying you need to go pick up this book. It is impactful, emotional, sexy as fuck, and overall one of the best books I've ever read. It is definitely in my top 5. And you know, as those who know me being the horror guy, that's saying a lot. So definitely pick this one up. Sara Burton is a truly amazing individual with a ton of talent and personality, and I love and cherish you to death, Sara. Thank you so much for being here. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk with you, and now I just need you to say goodbye to everyone.
Well, thank you for having me. And yes, thanks for tuning in for all of my craziness, and I apologize ahead of time in advance. Bye.